Hey y'all, it is February the 23rd, 2020, and we are still here for whatever it's worth on YouTube. Thank you for joining me. I appreciate you. And you can check out my haircut. Ain't that nice? Alright, I got a comment. I was having a little back and forth. Before we get into it, just like I said in on the live stream last night, a big shout out to and big ups to our man Brandon. That is our man. All right, he is our man with the plan, and he's gone viral more than once. Let me tell you that. Confronting people, I got a feeling he's going to go even more viral until the fact is he's going to be too recognizable at a certain point. Happens to all of them. Anyways, I wanted to dive in and say that, they did the best they could. Like I said last night, the odds were stacked up against them last night, and it was sort of kind of ingenious. Okay, I want to address that again in a brief fashion for this particular video. Also, I did have some back and forth with Brandon here on YouTube, and he said this, all right, because I want to address what he's saying right here. Okay, Just Another Channel responded to my comments, and I said, absolutely, that's a great perspective. Actually, that might be a little bit, I might have to see the context because that might be a little bit confusing. I said, hey dude, I shared y'all's video at this particular point in my long live stream, and I said thank you, and I was thanking him and stuff like that, and he said, well, thank you and everything. It's very polite. That's how it goes in San Antonio. I don't know about where y'all at, but very polite. He had the praying hands. He said, I wonder why I didn't see you. Were you in the press section or the VIP section? It's like, oh, you know it, buddy. No, I was not in the VIP section. I'm not sure where that was. I was up on the upper floor. I don't know where that was. But he said I was like in the way out. I was by the bathrooms, and I was actually in a very convenient section for that matter, being by the bathrooms, having a way out. I see. Here's the thing: we were packed in there. I don't know if Brandon on the other side had a very similar experience. I can imagine he did. We were all packed in there. All right, so if you're claustrophobic a little bit, that might be concerning. I actually saw a baby in there. With all the commotion, the acoustics that I was talking about, I was like 2 or 3 people away from a baby. Like a person was holding a newborn baby. It looked like 2 weeks old or something. A little bitty baby. And the baby was all asleep. Commotion was going everywhere, but the baby had like these headphones on. Like these specialized headphones to make sure it's not being bombarded by all the sound. It was crazy. It was crazy in there. All right. The baby had a good time. The baby was never in distress. I saw. It was actually a pretty convenient thing that they had, but yet and still there was a lot of people. All right, and so I didn't see him, and I didn't hear y'all. I didn't hear y'all is what I said because I didn't see him and hear him. Couldn't because of the acoustics, and I said I didn't notice y'all. And I said Bernie did a masterful move, and I reiterate that he did by picking that venue. All right, I'm gonna drive that home. That venue that he picked was so much better than Joe Biden's stupid venue and Hillary Clinton's stupid venue, which was the same one, which ended in disaster, basically. So Bernie, he made a good move. He's actually good with what he did, what he does. I got to stress that. All right, so picking that venue, it was a good move. But then I was talking about how Trump is going to take advantage, and I mentioned that last night. I alluded to that. We're going to take a closer look at just what it is I'm talking about. Trump took major advantage. The winner of last night was Donald Trump. He did so by tweet. He tweeted it in and won everything. Even though it seems as though Bernie Sanders had won some sort of caucus up in Nevada or something. I don't know what that has to do with Texas. I don't know. I'm not sure how that works. But there was a Nevada competition. Bernie won that. All right, but the winner, Donald Trump, and we're going to talk about that. And Just Another Channel said, what do you think of the rally? See, now I'm going to talk about real briefly something I explained last night in the live stream, but real briefly, my experience of the rally. What did I think of the rally? I want to talk about that. He also left a comment and said, absolutely. And he said I had a great perspective, all right, and I appreciate that. He said, what funny is I came into this event with compassion. right? As I'm sure a lot of us did. He said, I was met with hatred. All right. He said, all they had to do was look me up, find out they disagree with me. Then they became rabid NPCs. Rabid NPCs. He said, I don't hate them. He said, I only hope that they'll wake up and understand what they're helping to usher in. All right. I want to address all these things all at once. So I'm going to have to break it down one by one. Okay. What did I think of the rally? Like I said, I think it was a masterful move done by Bernie Sanders, and in that it was very hard to speak over him, right? Just the way everything was arranged, it was going to be difficult for Black Lives Matters to run up and snatch the microphone from him. Things were thought out. I don't know if it was time and experience that gave them the wherewithal to be able to plan everything out just perfectly, and they did. And I have to give them credit where credit is due. You got to acknowledge reality. Bernie Sanders and his team did an excellent job last night of keeping stuff together and just having everything run smoothly and having no sort of disturbances up in the dang rally. All right, that's why they had it indoors. They had a certain occupancy level, and it was exactly perfect for what they needed. All right, they had a Tejano band at the beginning, and you're not gonna mess up. All right, you have to be plumb bob retarded / evil to mess up if you have a Tejano band that opens for you. Okay, so I thought it was a masterful move, right? And on the other end, I gotta say, it really, although I commend the efforts and I look up to the efforts, I'm very inspired by Just Another Channel and Just Another Brandon, and you know, the lady, and we're gonna play some of that video. In fact, we're gonna play the whole video because last night we were only able to play kind of half of the video, and I want you to see the rest of the video. And we're not gonna be buffering because we're recording this video, so it's all going to go smoothly. We want to check it out. But that was my opinion of the rally. Bernie drove it home. He did a good job, okay? But see, I want to address some of the stuff that's going on down here. He said that he was met with hatred. And then he also described that all they had to do was look him up. Now, I know people out there are putting in work much harder than me. And I look up to that. And I aspire to be like that. Right? In the near future, I take baby steps, but he was talking about that all they had to do was look him up because he was actually acting professional, and for that I commend him. Right? I very much appreciate the people who act in a professional manner out in public, right? But he was acting that way, so they knew, okay, he's done this before. Where is he from? What's going on here? And they got bewildered. He then, and being professional, probably told him, hey, you can look me up. I'm on the internet, blah, blah, blah. Just go to my channel. It's official, and blah, blah, blah. Or I'm not sure what he did. They wound up looking him up, and they were like, oh, we just can't have it. In fact, they short-circuited. And I got to tell you, in a big old room like that, holds about 1,500 people, all smushed up together. Could have been close to 2,000. Who's to say? I don't know. I couldn't say, but it was a lot of people. Okay. The thing is, I'm far less professional, and I can't even pretend that I am professional. I didn't have enough sort of things going for me. And so when I got up into the Bernie rally, I knew, why act professional if I'm just a regular lowly person down here? And so I just began to just talk to people like I described last night. Had a in-depth conversation with a short little guy, and he was in the medical field and, like, you know, around the nursing type of area, and he sees all sort of things of that, I'm sure. And he has a lot of knowledge in his field and stuff, and you could tell he did have compassion. You could tell he did. I could feel it, if I had to say. I could feel that he had compassion and stuff, so I just kind of like dug into that, and I kept talking about our similarities, and there was nowhere for him to look me up, right, and know my opinions. And I was actually pretty quiet about what my opinions were, and I like Brandon's style, right? That's why I'm subscribed to Brandon. It's just sometimes people are going to find you out, like, say, a Caitlin Bennett. They're going to find you out. They're going to get little snippets. They're going to think you're a Nazi Hitler. They're going to go all nutballs in their brain. They're going to see that you're making a fool out of people like them on the regular, and they're going to act kind of different. See, I knew him. See, I was having a conversation with this young man, and we're all smushed together. Dude, all sort of brown people, white people. There was black people. Everybody was smushed together, right? And I'm having a conversation with this one short guy. and I'm leading. I want to know what's interesting to him because I want to know about him, and he's saying all these things. I find out where like we have differences, but he doesn't know because I don't really communicate what I'm disagreeing on with him. And the thing is, he keeps going. He winds up touching upon things that we had similarities on, and that, like I explained last night, he did not believe in this whole Russia thing. And in fact, we could probably go to Google before we get out of here and check up on that. All right, he does not believe in that going that whole Russia route of Russian collusion. He doesn't like that Bernie Sanders goes that route, and we had these commonalities. He does not like that. He didn't like that Bernie Sanders went that route because he saw that obviously what was going to happen eventually is that it was going to be turned around on Bernie Sanders. This is a gun that you could point anywhere. The whole "you're a Russian agent, you're a Russian collusionist," you can point that anywhere, and so of course they're going to start pointing that at Bernie immediately, and they have been. They already have been calling him a Russian agent and stuff. You might say he loves communism, but to call him a Russian agent, I think that's a little bit egregious, right? And so they're starting to do that. He pointed out things that he doesn't like about Bernie. We started even dabbling in things that he kind of does like about Trump and certain things that Trump was doing. And I wasn't being overly Trump because I'm in a big old crowd. And if I start like a mob, a stampede, this is what I was worried about. Then it ain't nowhere I can go. If people are gonna die up in there. We're mushed together. So I didn't do that. And meanwhile, while we're having a conversation, people are listening to the conversation. There was another guy who's even shorter Mexican, a little guy. But if you're from San Antonio, you know exactly who I'm talking about. Pretty stereotypical, a little smaller Mexican guy, skinny guy, a skinny stature and stuff, wiry looking. All right, tattoos in certain various places, and you look at the guy and you already know this is a guy. This is a little guy. He's a chip on his shoulder. He's grown up in a certain way where people have been picking on him a long time, his whole life, and so he will fight at the drop of a hat. So this is everybody's Bernie Bros in this mug. So this guy who's just listening to our conversation, I know for a fact that if he has something sharp on him, he's going to go crazy on me if I start talking out of pocket about Bernie. I know this. So it's like, dude, I know San Antonio people, as I'm sure Brandon does as well. We know that they could get violent at a drop of a hat and just, oh man, and it doesn't matter what size they are. They'll get busy, and you better not get on their bad side. But until you get on their bad side, they're actually pretty. We had a great time with the guy I was having a conversation with, the guy who was listening in, the different various people who were listening. We all had a great time, and nobody was really mad at me. All right. And I would have liked to yell, but I realized that I can't even yell that loud. There's no way that I could have yelled loud enough for anybody to hear me. I would have just upset the people around me, right? And I want to focus on that because he said he was met with hatred, and they looked him up and they turned to rabid dogs. Okay, I want to address that specifically. Yes, they will. I'm here to say it. In San Antonio, for better or for worse, I can guarantee you the people that we hang out with on the regular, people that we're very cool with, the people who opened the door for us, and the people who just say nice compliments, say how you doing, when you walk by, those people sometimes you rub them the wrong way. They will, at the drop of a hat, start swinging on people. They will start foaming at the mouth and going nutballs, emotional. All right, it is what it is, and I try to respect that just because not because they're right. It's not right, but it's very violent. And I do got to commend because, again, Brandon and his lady, who we're going to watch that video in a second, I got to imagine they were in a group of people who there's no way out. You can't get out of the situation or run away or anything like that. And if a mob stampede does start, that's the end of the story. No one's going to stop that mob stampede until it winds up dwindling away. All right. So big old success for Bernie, but I do want to talk about actually where Bernie is not the winner of last night. Actually, Donald Trump is the winner, unfortunately. And I was hanging out with all sort of Donald Trump people. Like I said, I did go out. Hold on one second, because I showed on the live stream last night that I did go out eventually to the street where people were wilding out, and I got some photo ops with some heavily armed people, and I came out of there unscathed, and Donald Trump's innocent, and a big old come and take it. Big old come and take it sign. All right, so we all had a good time. And I had some good conversations with a number of Bernie bros out there. All right, so it's weird that when they see that they're being professionally mocked, they are going to turn into rabid dogs. I think they're not dogs. All right, don't compare humans to um, animals. All right, because that is forbidden on YouTube. I sincerely do not consider them dogs. All right, but I'm just saying, in a cartoonish sense, they will get very violent on you. Anyways, Donald Trump, he really won, and I'll show you how. I saw this immediately. I knew, as soon as I saw this, I knew Donald Trump had it in the bag, just like before, just like every time before, all throughout history. The history of Donald Trump, he wins. So CNN said Trump congratulates Sanders on a great win in Nevada. Being at the caucus, he won that. He won it. He had success last night. Trump congratulates Sanders on Nevada caucuses. And here's a semi-quote: "Don't let them take it away from you." Right? And then that's all we had to read, to be honest with you. I know they're going to have articles and videos, and forget all those. All we need is those headlines. Right? And if, I don't know if you're getting it yet, but Trump, see what he's doing, and what he's been doing with, say, Roger Stone, what he's been doing with Michael Flynn, I believe his name, General Flynn, what he's been doing with different various people, to include, I believe, Julian Assange, is he's been gradually upping the rhetoric. He's been gradually implementing in certain rhetoric that's going to lead him into a perfect, if you're playing volleyball, he's leading himself into spiking that ball on the other side just about as hard as anybody's business, and he's about to do it, and he's just setting himself up to do it. Like, if he wasn't going to do it, he's setting himself up to win big right now, and and maybe he doesn't know it, but he congratulated Sanders, right? And then he said, "Don't let them take it away from you," kind of like they did in 2016, in a way that Donald Trump's already described before. Yeah, they stole it from him. Yeah, he's clearly more popular than all the other ones, and they stole it, and they're gonna steal it again because there's some stealers. And is Bernie Sanders, because here's the thing, in 2016, Donald Trump didn't exactly paint the picture as well as he's doing right now. And that we were all kind of stunned. We were like, oh man, when Hillary stole it, we were all like, it's one of those situations where you see somebody and they're getting jacked, and it's just like, you don't know what to do yet, you don't know what's going on. And Hillary took it, and everybody was like, damn, boy, you got jacked, boy. And we didn't know what to say. Now in 2020, we're asking Bernie, hey, you gonna let them steal it from you again? Because your fans over there at Cowboys Dance Hall, I promise you, half of them already knew that it was stolen in 2016, and they didn't appreciate that much. So if it were to get stolen again, okay, I think that would be a little bit too much for them to handle, and they would start wilding out if it were to get stolen a second time. And if Bernie Sanders was to try to, blend into the background and ride off into the sunset again this time, it's not going to happen, all right? People are going to sincerely ask, and there's sincerely going to be more lawsuits. How is it that Bernie loses again, and he's the only one who can pull in a crowd of 1,500 people? How is that? All right, so people are going to wild out. Donald Trump's a major winner in this, and he can't stop, won't stop. And I appreciate him and everybody's efforts. In the meanwhile, like I said before we get out of here, hopefully I have enough memory on my dang phone. But we're going to go into this video. In fact, you know what, you guys? We're going to break this into a two-parter, I think. Hold on one second.